You know how I was talking about in my top 10 best films of the year list, how this has been one of the most depressing years. 2016 was one of the most depressing years I've seen in a long goddamn time. You know, between Donald Trump being president to the turmoil that this country is facing, and not just because of who the president is, but a lot of different fucking issues going on, to terrorist attacks, to celebrity deaths, to everything else. But one of the biggest crimes 2016, in my opinion, had was that this was, in my opinion, strong opinion, I'm not the only one who thinks this too, one of the worst years in film I've seen in a fucking long time. This was one of the most frustrating years when as far as film goes. And narrowing this down to 5 was fucking hard. For a while there, like in the middle of the year, I seriously thought about making this a top 10 because I was like, I don't think there's. I think I can cover like a whole top 10 list out of the movies I saw. So this year, just alone, this year was the breaking point for me. I reached a breaking point about in August where I said, "Fuck it, I'm done seeing a lot of this shit." I started getting really picky, and that's why I haven't done a lot of as many reviews over the last couple months. Because I started getting more and more picky, because I was tired of seeing a lot of shit that kept coming out. Because Hollywood kept churning out shit after shit after shit after shit, and the top three on this list are goddamn some of the worst movies I've seen in a long damn time. Especially the top 2. Actually, more the top 2. So let's get right into them. Number 5. The Forest. Now, honestly, my top 3 were the easiest to fucking make. The 5 and 4 were kind of like, well, what was just as bad, if not, but also maybe not as infuriating as my top 3. And The Forest was your stereotypical January horror movie that was just... I remember I was pissed off when seeing this movie because I just gotten off of having a severe pneumonia. I was still recovering from it, and I decided to go to the movie theater and see this over fucking seeing The Revenant, and I was so fucking pissed. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking. This was a creative idea for a horror movie that was just fucking was basically bastardized down to a PG-13. Like, you got a great idea of the Suicide Forest in Japan. You can make a really creative horror movie, and this movie becomes your stereotypical horror movie where it's jump scare after jump scare after jump scare after jump scare, and that's all it fucking is. And a lot of the time, the fucking jump scares in this movie don't make any freaking sense. And it just was terrible. It was a terrible goddamn movie that had a great idea on paper that just didn't deliver. Number 4 is The Legend of Tarzan. Now, number 4 was a tough one because this year, the Legend of Tarzan falls under the category of one of those movies that was so fucking boring and insufferable to sit through because it was so boring that and there are a lot of movies that came out in 2016 that were in this category. Free State of Jones, Jason Bourne, Silence. Oh, I'm sorry. I take that back. Put Silence in this category is a little fucking insulting. Magnificent Seven. What else? Snowden. But Legend of Tarzan, I had to think about what was the worst one out of that list that was like pick one that was the worst, and I decided to pick Legend of Tarzan because just it was. If you didn't know anything about Tarzan, you would be so fucking lost watching this movie. This movie makes you believe that you know everything about Tarzan. It makes you believe that, you know, everybody that's watching this movie knows everything about Tarzan. Also, the was Alexander Skarsgård who plays Tarzan. It was fucking terrible. I mean, really terrible. His acting was it was the most wooden, dry, like some of the worst acting I've ever seen of 2016. His chemistry between him and Margot Robbie was terrible. It was not a very good movie. I don't understand how the hell this movie made as much money as it did. You see this kind of movie and you go, oh, that's gonna be a flop, but somehow it made money back. How? Oh God, how? Yeah, so that's my number 4. Number 3. Oh man. This for a while, I like the number 3, number 3, number 2. Number 3 and number 2 could easily been my number 1, but because of what I saw, when I saw my number 1, that was like the worst. But I'll get into that in a second. But number 3 is Batman vs Superman: Dawn of Justice. This is a movie that I got in arguments with people about. I got in an argument with a buddy of mine on Facebook about, because he kept telling me that critics were stupid and they didn't know what good movies were because they didn't like Batman versus Superman. No, fuck you. My response was, no, fuck you. Batman versus Superman sucked. This was the opposite of what Captain America Civil War was. Like, it tried to do a lot of the same things that Captain America Civil War did, but failed at it. You finally get Batman versus fucking Superman on the big screen. On the fucking big screen. In the same movie together. And this is what we fucking got. God fucking damn it. Like, seriously. I was so pissed when I saw this movie. I remember, even when I couldn't give a shit when Superman died. Spoiler alert. I mean, this movie came out in March. I'm thinking of it. I was having none of this. And then when the whole conflict between Batman and Superman and why they end up fighting it Batman versus Superman. I forgot to mention that. Batman versus Superman, a movie being called Batman versus Superman. And how long do they fight? 20 fucking minutes, if that. And the reason why they're fighting is one of the stupidest reasons I've ever heard on film. I was like yelling at the screen when I was seeing this movie. I remember vividly like kicking my seat in front of me while watching them fighting. I'm like, this, oh, this is fucking retarded. Like, when this problem that they're having, like, could easily been resolved in like 2 minutes. All Batman had to do was Superman had to do was talk to Batman, and it could have easily been solved in fucking 2 minutes. And like the whole Martha thing, oh god, there's been so much written about this movie, been said about this movie, that I don't really need to say much more than already has been said. God damn, this movie infuriated me. Yeah. This, like I said, God, I really hated this movie. Number 2, the movie that I keep referencing as being the point in the year where I reached my breaking point and said, fuck this shit. I'm not seeing. I said I'm done with seeing a lot of these fucking terrible movies, and that was Suicide Squad. Also, this was the movie that made me go, nope, I'm not seeing any more DC movies. standing by that. I promise I will stand by that. I'm gonna stand by. Like, I'm not seeing Wonder Woman. I'm not seeing Justice League. Screw all those movies. I'm done with this. Suicide Squad was. It was kind of hard, like figuring out which was worse, Suicide Squad or Batman versus Superman. Because on one hand, Batman versus Superman was a movie I was looking forward to a lot. Like, like everybody, it was the idea of Batman and Superman being on screen for the first time ever was a big deal. And we finally get it. And it was a disappointment. But Suicide Squad was like the last gasp of hope for DC. And god damn, was this one the worst movies, the most insufferable movies I sat through. Bunch of characters I couldn't give a fuck about. Yeah, you had Harley Quinn, who was good. Margot Robbie was good as Harley Quinn. But he also had the worst Joker on film ever with Jared Leto. I'm sorry, even if they put all the scenes that he got cut out of the movie, I guarantee you that movie, he still would have sucked. I'm sorry, he still would have sucked. Let's see. I couldn't give a shit about anything in this movie. It was fucking edited down like somebody with ADHD. I don't like. It's another movie. I don't know what else to say about this movie that hasn't been said already. I hated this movie. I did. I really, really, really hated this movie. Like I said, it was the breaking point for me. Like I'm done watching DC movies. From after I saw this movie, I was like, that's it. I'm being more picky on what I go see from this point forward. Especially, I end up having to. I'm trying to think here. I had a big year where I ended up moving to my own apartment, end up wrecking my car and having to get a new one. And because of that, I have to, start being more sparse on money. And so after seeing stuff like this, I was like, I'm not wasting my time seeing shit like this in the big screen, especially the prices of the movie tickets being as ridiculous as they are nowadays. This is not worth my fucking time. But that was not even number one, by the way. I want to say that again. Suicide Squad was not number one. And my number one is a movie that I guarantee a lot of people fucking forgot about. And a lot of people, I've seen a lot of top 10 worst films of the year list, and this has not made, I think, any list I've seen all year. But this movie was a movie that was so unforgivable that, man, my number one was The Brothers Grimsby. There's probably a lot of people out there going, what the fuck is The Brothers Grimsby? If you don't remember, it was the Sacha Baron Cohen, new Sacha Baron Cohen shock comedy that came out this year with him and Mark Strong. And I love Sacha Baron Cohen, but he can go fuck himself. I'm like, at the point of like, if he continues making shit like this, he can go fuck himself. I love Borat. I like Bruno. Dictator, I thought was okay. But somewhere along the line, between all those movies and this, Sacha Baron Cohen forgot what made those movies work. And it wasn't just the gross out humor. I said in my review when I saw this that this movie was the equivalent of him trying so fucking hard to try to top that scene in Borat where him and the fat guy are wrestling around naked and stuff like that. This movie is number one because there is a scene in this movie that I never want to fucking see my entire life ever again. Wish I never saw in the first place. Thanks to this movie, I know what a fucking elephant bukkake looks like. Elephant bukkake. I said, it's exactly what it is. I never need to see that again. Never wish to see that again. Wish I never saw it in the fucking first place. I'm not a person that's seen fucking a Serbian film. This movie, but at least I didn't see that on a big screen. I saw this shit on a big screen. And god damn it, that I hate. Every time I saw a really bad movie this year, I said, well, it wasn't as bad as Brothers Grimsby. I hated this movie. Baron Cohen is a very talented guy who I hope, because this movie did horribly and got really horribly received, actually starts going back to making good comedies again, because he is a very talented, funny guy and a really intelligent guy. But I wish he would have just did the fucking Freddie Mercury biopic instead of doing this shit. No wonder why they won't allow him to do that Freddie Mercury biopic. Probably members of Queen saw this shit and said, no, I'm not doing it. We're not allowing you to do that shit. Yeah, I hated this movie. 2016 was a terrible year in film, and I hope this year's a lot better. So far, it's turned out pretty good, but a lot of the movies that I've seen this year so far have been movies that I didn't see in 2016. The good movies I saw this year so far have been movies that I missed out on 2016. So, although this week we're getting Lego Batman movie and John Wick 2, so both are getting really, really, really well received. So, here's hoping that 2017 be a better year in film than 2016. That's all I'm going to say. I'll be back in a couple days with a review for Lego Batman movie and John Wick 2. And until then, I'll talk to you guys later.